Oh, we're alive. We're here. We're ready to go. Thank God. I'm excited. Um, you guys know how this goes. Let me check my audio, make sure we're good there. No, my YouTube is being silly. I hope everyone's doing all right. I hope everyone had a good Father's Day. They were hanging out. They enjoyed time with their family, or if you have kids, hey, I'm happy for you. I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I am Zach Aurelius. I'm here with the voice of college football, Missouri Tigers Live, episode 28. God, we've been doing this for so long. I was fat when I started. I'm still fat, but I was much fatter when I started this. Anyway, welcome in, everybody, to Missouri Tigers Live here on the voice of college football. Family of networks, I guess, is how I'm going to describe this. Thanks for tuning in. We're here to talk about little Missouri Tigers. We're going to talk about some recruiting. We're going to talk about Central Arkansas. Go ahead and start doing some previews because this one's not going to take very long. I'm excited for the NBA Finals tonight. Of course, that game's not going to start till like 7:40, so I will be here this whole time. But because this is, there's a little bit to talk about, we'll get the old Central Arkansas preview in, and then next week we will do UMass and Lafayette, or Louisiana, not Lafayette, Louisiana. We'll do the Cajuns, and then the following week we will get into the full previews. We'll start with Kansas, and then we'll do South Carolina. With each of those previews, we're going to do a preview of an SEC team Mizzou does not play. Whether it's Texas and LSU and Florida and some of these other schools, we'll start doing little previews of them, just to kind of start rounding up and getting ready for the season, guys. Like, it's June 16th, man. The first week of that, week 0, is August 23rd, so we have 2 months until that time hits where we have Farmageddon in Ireland. Kansas plays that day, because I was just talking to a friend of mine before I got on. I was driving home from work, and he was like, man, I don't he's like, look, I respect that you do this, but how are you going to talk about these games now and then talk about them, 2 months from now? And I'm like, man, look, by the time we get to the KU game, Kansas will have played 2 football games. We're not going to know a ton about Missouri at that point, because they'll only have played Central Arkansas, and we'll talk about Central Arkansas right now. But they we'll have some notes on Kansas. Kansas plays Fresno. I forget the FCS team they play. It's like Wagner or whatever. But we will have info about. We'll have some info about Kansas. We'll know a lot more, because I'm not going to pretend I know everything there is to know about Fresno State this year right now. But on June 16th, I'll get there. But they don't have Mikey Keene anymore, unfortunately. He's at Michigan, who just signed Jake Garcia. Is that Jake Garcia has played now at what? Miami, Missouri, East Carolina, and now Michigan. What a step. I understand Michigan was not completely happy with some of Bryce Underwood's, if I read, I know TJ, if you're listening, this is just what I've read. I see your Twitter account. I don't know. I'm sorry. But just some of Bryce Underwood's progress. Is Mikey Keene not practicing? Why did they feel the need to bring in Jake Garcia as a third quarterback? I don't understand that. But hey, good on him. Of course, we're going to talk a little Cruton. It's Cruton time of the year, so we talked about Isaac Jensen. We talked about some of the guys they were able to bring in over the week. We talked about Jabari Brady. Not a ton of recruiting news, because we are in the slow season, unfortunately. Evan Jacobson, a tight end, did say, and this is, again, I'm pulling this from 247. This is from Alan Treyu. I've only ever seen it written, never read. I'm sorry, Alan, if you ever do see this. God, I love the Joker Detective Comics poster right behind me. You guys can see what a dork I am. They're no longer in the running for him. Isaac Jensen committed. Mizzou's good at tight end for 2026, so there's no need for there's just no need to continue to pursue Evan Jacobson as we move on to Cruton. Brian Estrada, I believe he's at Oklahoma this weekend. Let me pull my notes up. There we go. He is at Oklahoma this weekend. He visited Minnesota. He's visited Michigan, and he'll wrap up. He's still going to go to Alabama. Mizzou really, really wants him. They want him or Maxwell Warner. 2 3-stars. No real updates on Maxwell Warner. Braxton Lindsay, a linebacker from Arkansas. He's been to Mizzou. He's been to Oklahoma. Kind of waiting on to see what happens with him. He's going to go to Arkansas. He's going to look at Arkansas. J.J. Bush is their number one target. He was at LSU over the weekend. If he does commit to LSU, you'll see Mizzou push harder for Mr. Lindsay, but he's their number one guy in the class right now. They want him so bad. Tony Forney will announce his commitment on July 4th, which is a Friday, so we'll be able to talk about it that Monday, the 7th. Mizzou's feeling good. Again, this is according to Power Mizzou 247. Again, I wish I had insiders. I wish I had peeps like this that can give me quotes like this, but I do not. I'm just here to tell you guys what's going on. He's a safety from Marietta, Georgia. By all accounts, Mizzou's feeling really good about this one. He went to Pitt and he went to Wisconsin. Look, not to be disrespectful, Wisconsin or Pittsburgh football, but if you're Missouri, unless he just has a ton of connections to Pitt or Wisconsin that I don't know about, you need to win this one. Same way with Jawel Kambe, another safety. He's going to go to he went to Wisconsin. He's going to get Tennessee. He's been to Mizzou. He's been to South Carolina. Gabe DeArmond of Power Mizzou said John Wells probably not going to come to Mizzou because he thinks everyone else is ahead of them there. But we'll see what happens coming there. So moving forward, Evan Goodwin is kind of still their top target from Arkansas. He's when they missed out on Cantwell, just completely whiffed there. They just whiffed. I mean, he didn't even have him in the top 4. He did take his official back in May. He's gonna take visits to Oklahoma State. He's gonna take a visit to SMU, who just made the playoff and is in line for another really nice season. And he'll go back to Mississippi State. A little shocked Arkansas is not in there more, or like LSU are. He is a 4-star. But again, if you're Missouri, you need to beat out Oklahoma State, who just went 3-9, and Mike Gundy's kind of off his rocker. SMU's a good school, and look, at full credit to SMU, they kind of showed how if you're going to make this transition, how to do it. You get the money first, and then you do the transition. Their first year in the ACC, they were great. Look, I understand the ACC was down. I understand the ACC is not a great conference, but I would have really loved it if I just got to learn about it. Player committing to Mizzou. But SMU's a really good team. It still is a power conference, and they have their money and their stuff together. And Rhett Lashley's a good coach. So that's competition. But you got to beat Mississippi State. You just have to. Jaden McGregory, a safety from Iowa. He's got a crystal ball to Mizzou. We're just kind of waiting for him to announce his commit. He did visit Minnesota. He canceled a trip to Kansas, and then Louisville is supposed to get a commitment or supposed to get a visit, I think, this weekend. Let me look on my notes. Yeah, this weekend. We'll see. Louisville's a really, really good. J.J. Bush is expected to make it to Arkansas. What am I looking at? Ryan Estrada, we already went over, and then Ashari Charles from Venice. He was in campus 2 weeks ago. He's going to take a look to Florida. He's going to take a look at Florida State. Louisville, Kentucky are also in the mix there. It's going to be tough to get that kid 4-star from Venice, Florida. But hey, man, I haven't read the LSU sites. I was going to see what they thought of JJ Bush's official. I'm going to assume, like everybody, is after official visit, you think you're going to get him. But recruiting, I say this every week, man. Like as teams figure out like how to spend their money, you know, you if you pay attention to hockey, you know, you don't want to spend all your money on a third pairing right wing or a third pairing defenseman or a backup goalie. You want to spend it on your centers and your defensemen. If you pay attention to the football, you want a great quarterback. You want to pay a linebacker. You probably want to pay one receiver. You want to pay a defensive end. You know, they're just order of importance. And when teams start to slowly figure that out, who to pay, the transfer portal is going to be harder and harder to come by because a lot of the times you need to pay offensive linemen. Offensive linemen, rarely are offensive linemen going to go from lateral moves. You know, hey, we kind of saw it maybe a little bit with the kid from Bama whose name is I just thought of it and now it's escaping me. Proctor, who went to Iowa. Like that's kind of not literally a lateral move, obviously, but like you don't see that a lot. You see a lot of times it's kids from SMU going to Missouri or Houston coming to Missouri or kids taking steps up. And they often struggle because it's hard, man. Offensive line's a really hard position. So as this happens more, recruiting is going to take back over. You're always going to have quarterbacks because there's always going to be a quarterback that wants to play up. You're always going to have John Mateers. You're always going to have guys like that, or even really talented like a Bo Prabula. That's always going to be there. I think you'll always be able to find like corners and like not star corners, but like depth corners. Safeties, you know, a linebacker. I think you're going to have a really hard wide receivers. And running backs. Like I think there's going to be positions that'll be in the portal all the time. But I think you're going to have a really hard time finding defensive ends, defensive tackles, and star corners and offensive linemen. So recruiting, it's important, man, and it's only going to get more important. Okay. So with that, you are listening to the Voice of College Football, a family of networks. I am Zach Ramirez. I want to thank Mark Rogers for letting me do this. I hope he continues to let me do this. You can follow Mark, of course, at the Voice of College Football. He's live like every day, guys. Go over to the main channel, hang out, talk to Mark, and donate and subscribe. Please, God, subscribe, like and subscribe. If you're watching this or and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please, good Lord, I insist. Tell them Zach sent you. As we get closer to the season, man, like season's coming right around the corner. Like I got the Athlon Sports preview. I actually went on a trip this weekend. I thought on my car ride I was going to thumb through it, but I was not able to. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a car with 3 members of your family. It's a nice car, but it's a little tight, and I'm hot, and I don't like long car rides, so it just was not comfortable for me in the slightest. So I mostly slept. But I think with that, let's start getting into the previews. Guys, like Central Arkansas. Mizzou opens the season with Central Arkansas. That Thursday night, 2024, 6 FCS victories over FBS teams. I think it's okay. This is a thing I found on Rock M Nation when I was pulling my preview together. These are Mizzou's results against FCS teams in the Eli Drinkwitz era. 2021, SEMO, 59-28. That game, oh, God, that was the game where I was like, oh, this run defense is disastrous. Because in the second half, SEMO ran for like 300 yards. Abilene Christian in the most boring game of all time, 34-17. South Dakota in 2023, 35-10, when we were all like, oh, dear God, is it going to be this bad again? Turns out it was not. And then last year they beat Murray State 51-0 in a game. I think it was 28-0 after like 5 possessions for each team, like because one was a Pride pick 6. Mizzou's really never struggled with an FCS team. There's only 2 instances I can think of where they even slightly struggled. One was Missouri State in 2017. Missouri State put up 43 points, and it was back and forth for like a half. Like Drew Lock threw for like 8 touchdowns. We're like, oh my God, because it was close. They needed him to. And then I was at the game in 2014 against South Dakota State, where they cut it to 21-18, and then Marcus Murphy returned a touchdown. Matty Moss threw another touchdown pass. That was a really good South Dakota State team. Zach Zenner was a beast, man. If you know who Zach Zenner is, this is the network of family. This is the family of YouTube channels for you. But Mizzou has always played. They've always played FCS. Like they've never really even had a scare against FCS teams, and they normally do a pretty good job even against the non-FCS like lower tier programs. I'm trying to think of teams they've lost to from like that part of the college football landscape, and I'm thinking of Middle Tennessee in 2016 on homecoming. That was embarrassing. I've told you a million times. Like I could talk for hours about a lot of games from every season. Except 2016. I just know nothing from that season sticks with me, except the Georgia game. Because they blew out like Eastern Michigan, they blew out Delaware State. Nothing sticks with me from that season at all, except the Georgia loss. It's just they stunk. They really, really stunk. It was my second year of college. So the big thing with the Bears, is 38 players portaled. Half their scholarship players happen to hit the portal. They are coached by Nathan Brown. He's in his 8th year with the school. He was starting in 2010. He was the quarterback's coach. He became the offensive coordinator in 2014, and then in 2018 he took over as head coach. I believe he was the guy who said during COVID, like when FCS games they played in the spring because that was Trey Lance thing. He was like, "We'll play anyone." Like he made the big statements about we'll play anyone, anywhere, anytime. He's been there for 8 years. They've made one playoff under him in 2019. They lost. He's 43-35 all time, 27-16 in conference games. So he's just kind of an FCS. Like you see, sometimes there are like FCS coaches that go on. Like where I went to school, Western Illinois. I don't know why I said it with that emphasis. With Western Illinois, we had Charlie Fisher. He did a really good job with us one year. We finished like 12th, 9th, 10th, 11th in the country, and then he moved on and immediately became a receivers coach at Arizona State. And I think he was one of the reasons they got put on probation. Good old Conway, Arkansas. I always am interested about players and coach. Like, okay, so Mizzou, for instance, like he did go to Central Arkansas. I've always wondered, like, coaching for your alma mater. Like, there's some times it works, and it works out beautifully. With Missouri, it hasn't, ever. There's Kim Anderson, who stunk. And if it wasn't for, like, Kenny Payne at Louisville, if you follow college basketball, Kim Anderson might be the worst hire of all time. It still might be because the portal, Louisville was able to rebound really quickly and make the tournament this year. Mizzou, they made the tournament the year after they fired Kim. They brought in Kwanzaa, but it's taken a long time for Mizzou to rebuild. They're still rebuilding their reputation from those 3 years. And lost to Drake didn't help. And then I'm thinking of Barry Odom, who we'll see what he does at Purdue. He did a really nice job at UNLV. He did a nice job at UNLV. No one is discrediting him there. But it didn't go well at Mizzou. Barry Odom had one of those 10 years where like he just couldn't get out of his own way. And he was a really beloved player. He was a great defensive coach here. His 2015 defense, like, look, that 2015 Mizzou team couldn't score on me, but that defense was incredible. And they just, it was awesome to watch them play football. Last year, Arkansas State started 6-2, and then they lost their last 4 games. He's got a positive record. He's like not like, and I'm not going to say I know enough about FCS football to be like, he's on the hot seat. Like, no, But I am interested to see what they do. I always root for the FCS teams Mizzou plays because, like, if the SDS team looks good, it helps Missouri. It doesn't ultimately matter, but it's just one of those things. The interesting thing I found about the Central Arkansas staff is Coach Brown demoted. Like, when I'm going through their coaching roster and like what everyone was doing last year, Ken Collins, who is another Central Arkansas grad, he was the OC for 8. He's been the OC since Coach Brown got there. They demoted him to tight ends coach, and now the head coach is going to call plays. Which, Nathan Brown, man, I don't know. They brought in defense coordinator Chad Williams. He's been there before. So they have, out of their 10 coaches they list, 4 of them, this is their first year at the school. Chad Williams was at the school before. He was the linebackers coach at Southern Mississippi. Southern Miss. No one calls it Southern Mississippi, Zach. Before, but he left to take the DC job. I don't know if he was fired. I didn't. It's not going to say. At the FCS level, again, these stats are coming from Rock M Nation because they were able to pull some of it, and I like talking, and I love stats. So last year, or this year, Central Arkansas projects kind of similar to Mizzou: yards per play, average passing yards per game, run pass splits. Projections have Mizzou as a 57-43 run pass split. I'd be a little shocked if it was that close. I don't think Mizzou's going to be able to throw the ball all that well. Every skill they return, so they returned 3/5 of their offensive line, which is nice. They don't return anything else from that team, which is a scary thought. Like, there's just, there's not a lot of preview stuff about Central Arkansas. Defensively, though, they only gave up 3.7 yards per carry and only 13 touchdowns on the ground, which, 13, but that's like 1 a game. Like, that's pretty good. Their secondary in these stats I found on the FCS website, 3,000 yards of passing yards, given up 26 touchdowns and only 13 sacks. So they have a new DC. It's an FCS team. I'm not exactly sure, but we might get to see Bo can throw the ball. So maybe we have some hope there. And they're going to need what you kind of want to see in this game is Mizzou get some rhythm. In their passing game, you want to see the kids play, but I kind of hope Eli keeps Bo in for 3 quarters. Just let him play, let him work out some kink, just let him get going, because you have Kansas and then you have another, and then you have Kansas, and you just need to be able to kind of figure this thing out before you hit the rough part of the schedule. Yeah, I mean, last year they played Arkansas State. They lost 34-31. That's crazy. They play Lindenwood. They lost that. They won that game. They beat Austin Peay. They won at UAPB. They were cruising for a little while. They beat Lamar by 20. They beat Pine Bluff by 49 or 39. Excuse me. They lost at Abilene Christian. They beat West Georgia by 1. They beat North Alabama. So you're sitting pretty if you are the Bears, and then it just all fell apart. They play at Utah Tech. I'm gonna be honest, I did not know Utah Tech was a school. They lose at Eastern Kentucky. They lose at Southern Utah. They lose at Tarleton State. I will say, though, all of their losses came by 1 possession except the last one. except the game to Tarleton State, which you could almost excuse. Like at that point, you're 6-5. You're not going to make the playoff. Let me pull up a recap from that game. Valiant effort from their defense. Injury-riddled team. Yeah, so until the last game of the year where they were riddled with injuries, according to the Central Arkansas website, they were in a bunch of one-score games. Like they were at Eastern Kentucky, where Matty Mock transferred, and one of the Bosa's play there. One of the Ohio State guys played there. So they're not god awful. But if you're Missouri, I don't think SP Plus has like a projection for this game. Mizzou's average SP Plus rating is 15th, 27th in offense, 13th in defense. You need to win this game, and you need to win it by a lot. Will Mizzou win it by 100? Probably not. I'm not expecting them to win, and I don't want them to win 69-0, guys, because like I have to have something to talk about and to prepare for Kansas. That's not going to be a long recap show. I'm gonna tell you all right now on June 16th. That game's at 7. That means it's not ending till like 10:15. I have work the next morning. That show ain't gonna last till midnight, unless they lose or something stupid happens. Which in that case, I'll be here till the crack of dawn, and I'll just be crying. And I'm serious. If they lose Central Arkansas, I will cry on camera. You heard it here first. But what you're kind of hoping for in the Central Arkansas game is Prabula looks good passing the ball, looks comfortable passing the ball, on time, on target, hitting the short routes, hitting some deeper shots. You want to see some of the younger guys play, some of the wide receivers take a step up. I know Kevin Coleman, what he's going to be. I want to see what some of these other wide receivers, James Madison, Josh Manning, Marquise Johnson, Marquise. The first deep shot to Marquise, I'm going to cry because we didn't see any of that last year. How does Ahmad Hardy look? Is he breaking tackles? Is he doing what he should be doing at this level? And how does the offensive line look? I'm going to be honest, like when you watch a game like this, if they're dominating, great. Not a lot to glean from that. If they struggle, then you cannot struggle in a game like this. And I understand that Central Arkansas wasn't the worst defense in the world last year, but you should probably run through them pretty easily. I'm also interested to see how many times Bo carries the football. Knowing Kansas is coming the next week, knowing what you have on the schedule, Alabama, South Carolina, Texas A&M, these SEC games, Auburn, Vanderbilt, like how many times is he going to carry the football? Because there's going to be interesting games like the Alabama game. Like, look, you're probably not going to win that game. Like, how many times do you really want to put your quarterback in harm's way? And same thing with a game like this or the UMass game. Like, will he have over under 8 carries? I would assume over, but I'm interested to see when we get to that point how many times he does carry the football. Look, it's your FCS tune-up game. Everyone plays one. I Big Ten schools, but you don't know. You're right. You play 3 MAC teams or 2 MAC teams. I'm sorry. I think Mizzou's non-con is perfect for a school like Mizzou. It's a non-con that doesn't leave you with a lot of room for error, because if you win and you go 10-2, they're going to look at your non-con and be like, well, it'll help if Kansas is good and if Louisiana can win 9 games again or 9-10 games and be a pretty good G5 team. But for a school like Mizzou, I think it's perfect. Why Arkansas is playing freaking Notre Dame, I don't know. But you have a crap low 5, a crap G5 in UMass. You have FCS, You have a pretty good G5 in Louisiana, and then you have a Power 5 in Kansas. And Kansas is a rival. So, and like I've said a million times, I got into an argument about somebody this early today where someone's like, "Oh, you say that's a can't lose game." I'm like, take out the name Kansas. And I don't think Kansas will be that bad this year. I mean, I think we did this a few weeks ago where we eyeballed it, and we'll talk about UMass and Louisiana next week, and then we'll get into Kansas. If you just eyeball Kansas's resume from last year and you insert any big, like you put Kansas's schedule and you wipe out Kansas and you put in TCU or West Virginia or whatever, you're like, you need to win that game if you want to be a serious SEC team. So we'll see. But I'm pretty excited for what's to come. Thank you all for tuning in to the Voice of College Football Missouri. I'm going to take off. I've got with the NBA Finals and everything going on right now, plus I feel horrible. You can follow me at the Voice of College Football Missouri. You can follow me at PsychoZ_50. I did not make a banner for that. That was silly of me. My Twitter's been weird over the last 2 months or so, but I should be good now. Yes, I do call it Twitter. You can listen to any of our shows on Spotify, Amazon, wherever you Apple, wherever you listen to your tunes. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday, with more college football talk and breaking down Louisiana. And we'll have a little bit more tangible stuff about Louisiana and UMass. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Enjoy the NBA Finals, NHL, whatever you like. I hope you enjoy it and have a wonderful day.